It got it. All right, Nahnatchka, thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me today. How are you?
I'm good. So nice to talk to you.
Thank you. So first off, tell me, totally killer. What can audiences yeah, words. What can audiences expect and what are they in for?
Just like a wild, fun ride. This is a slasher comedy. It's basically like we describe it as like Back to the Future meets Scream. This Gen Z woman from 2023 has to travel back in time to 1987 to like the world of John Hughes to like stop this serial killer before he can start.
Awesome. And is there anything in particular you hope audiences take away from the film?
I mean, really just, having a fun time. It's a wild ride. And hopefully, caring about this sort of mother-daughter relationship that's at the core and the emotional heart of the movie.
For sure. Now, Totally Killer premiered at Fantastic Fest last month. How was it received?
Great. It was such a blast. It was my first time at that festival. I don't know if you've been, but it's
Yeah.
so oh, you would love. They really put on a show out there. And it was great. It was great to see it in a big theater full of like the genre fans, horror and slasher fans. And they totally got it, because it's having a lot of fun
Mhm.
with the tropes of those movies and kind of poking fun at a lot of elements.
Awesome. Now, you are well known for your work with comedy and sitcoms. Is this your first time kind of venturing into horror slasher?
Definitely. Yeah. This is my first time playing in that arena. Like I've been a fan of the genre, just as like a viewer, but it's my first time sort of getting to kind of like stretch the comedy boundaries like into that
Okay.
genre.
Okay. So what was it about this project that made you want to come on board and direct?
I think it was just like there were so many fun elements that I think tonally required a lot of juggling, and I was excited for that challenge because I think like I as you say like I have the experience in comedy, so to be able to kind of like bring that into the slasher realm, but also then add the time travel element into it and the 80s period piece, into that, like there's a lot of balls in the air, and
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, there's horror, slasher, comedy, time travel, the 80s. So how important was it to strike that right balance and how challenging was that for you?
Yeah, that was something that we always were very conscious of, and it's tricky. So you don't want to obviously tip one, over into one too far and make it so scary that you can't laugh again and make it too funny that you're not scared. So,
Yep.
just always giving ourselves options in different scenes for either a comedy moment or letting the adrenaline of a scare play and really kind of giving us those options in editing. So when we went in and started to assemble the movie, we really sort of were able to walk that line and yeah, had fun, but kind of, kept it that anything is possible, really, keeping the audience off balance.
Yeah, for sure. And you said in another interview that when you first talked with Kiernan Shipka, you knew that she was perfect for the role of Jamie. So what made her perfect for that role and how much fun was it to work with her?
It was so much fun. And I mean, Kiernan, I think, is just she was perfect for this because as we were saying, like there are so many elements at play that the emotional core of this movie is Jamie, and Kiernan is able to kind of bring that groundedness into that role that I think you really need in this specific part. This woman has like experienced this big trauma at the beginning of the movie that sort of launches her on this journey, and she was able to remind us of that in like key moments along the way, so we didn't just, you're having fun in the 80s and there's a lot of jokes or whatever, and then there's a serial killer on the loose and they're scary, but you always remember like why she's there
Yeah.
and how she can't fail. There's no, that failure is not an option for her. And it's just a testament to Kiernan, like that she was able to sort of balance all of those things in the role of Jamie. And it was just like so crucial.
So she was up for the challenge.
Up for the challenge, and just like, from all her experience, like everything she's done, like from Mad Men to Sabrina to like everything, uh, all of her experience that she brought into this movie. And then also just a willingness to try anything and be open to collaboration. And, she was down for whatever.
Awesome, fantastic. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit more about this mask, which is iconic to any horror film. So, what was the process in crafting this iconic mask?
It was so much fun. We knew that we needed something that kind of like straddled both eras because in our movie, like people still dress like the Sweet 16 killer in present day. So I wanted it to feel slightly relevant, but also it originates in the 80s. So it has to have that nostalgic feeling. And so for us, that idea of like a handsome man being scary kind of felt like it bridged both worlds because you have like that feels very relevant today. And then you have like all these like iconic 80s like heartthrobs that were running around back then. So Tony Gardner and our design team at Alterian, who like makes creature masks and slasher masks, started pulling all these references. So they were pulling like Rob Lowe and Dolph Lundgren and Kiefer Sutherland, and we have a little like Lost Boys touch and like that dangling earring for the killer, and then compositing all those faces together and then exaggerating it. So making that smile just be almost like shark-like, like the teeth
Yeah.
are perfect and white, but they're just a bit too big. And just the idea of like that being the last thing you see, like before you die in a movie, of like this beautiful white smile as you
Yes,
like your eyes sort of close.
yes, yes. And in creating the 1987 set, did you and the design team try to steer clear of obvious 80s style cliches?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was really important that once we go back to the 80s, like it's not like we're suddenly in a music video, it's not that's not the joke. And I didn't want that to be distracting. So I wanted it to feel legit to the time, but also kind of purposely leaned more towards like the similarities rather than the differences. But of course, like the clothes are different, the hair, the cars, the technology, like there's a lot of specifics that we made sure were period correct, but I didn't
Mhm.
want it to suddenly be this like neon space. I wanted to feel more lived in and kind of realistic for the people that, are living in that time in our movie.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What are some of your absolute favorite horror movies?
I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Conjuring universe. I think
Okay.
like the first two Conjuring movies are genius to me. And then even like the offshoot ones, like Annabelle Comes Home, I feel like doesn't get enough love. I love that movie. And then I love Scream. That is absolutely one of my all-time favorites. The franchise, Scream 6 was amazing too. But the original Halloween, the classic, the first Halloween, and then the 2018 one the revival one was incredible. The Ring. I think The Ring is probably the scariest movie I've ever seen.
That's a
You're
good one.
like that scared the shit out of me. I couldn't go to sleep. I was like, I had all the lights on in my apartment, and then I wanted to turn the TV on, but there was The Ring, so I was like, I'm not trying to have
Get away
the
from it.
yeah. I was like, no, I don't know what to do.
Yes, yes. So, would you like to venture more into the horror genre for future movies?
It's possibility, like if it's the right project, it really just always depends on like what that specifically would be. But I had so much fun and there's so much more to do. And just as a fan of the genre, it's like I think everything, again, would always have some sort of comedic streak for me. So that would be a necessity. But if it was the right thing, it would be really fun to continue to explore.
Awesome. And of course, another element of 1980s slasher horror films are the endless sequels. So, you think we could possibly expect a Totally Killer 2 at some point?
I mean, listen, there at the end of this movie, there is a time machine left in the 80s.
Okay.
So there could be a possibility of like Olivia Holt's character coming to the future.
A little bit of foreshadowing. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
All right, Nahnatchka, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking with you.
So nice to talk to you. Thank you.
Bye bye.